some health and whatnot, and cheeseburgers and tacos and burritos and stuff that I hadn't eaten in a very long time started tasting really good. And I got up to about 263 pounds for me, which is at my height doesn't look crazy, but it looks crazy. And I was just looking at one of the pictures the other day. I moved back to Ohio in 2010. I started working at Lifetime, and I was a personal trainer the whole time, which was crazy. I was like, I don't even know why people are listening to me. I was like, I'm out of breath just doing a session. I'm like, dude, come on. And I finally got my rear end gear. I moved back to Ohio at like 242. Started working for Lifetime Fitness in Beechwood, and went from 242 to 190 something. And I'm not a big scale person, not a big body fat. Like I didn't really want to know. I just knew that I had some work to do and I had some bad habits to change. And so I got down to 192, and then I've been lifting pretty heavy the last year and a half and put on some muscle. Time to lean out again for the springtime. I did a fitness competition, first fitness competition on my 33rd birthday. Kind of a little gift to myself for all the hard work that I was putting in. But learned a lot about changing habits and changing patterns. And same thing, I rebuilt my golf swing over the last 2.5, 3 years. So a lot of these things are not. I'm not picking on you. I was there a couple months ago, and I'm still. The new stuff is there until I get frustrated or until I'm really trying too hard. And then those old habits come back. So you really do have to revisit the drills and as I got it. So I mean every shot you'll see. I mean watching the pre-shot routine. We're going to talk about warm-ups and pre-shot routines and stuff in a minute. But watching the guys and girls that get paid to do it on TV. There's something about every swing. I got to web.com. I got to follow Michael Sim around. Not a super popular name, but cool guy and an interesting golfer to watch. He was working on a swing change. Every swing. Every time. He wanted to groove that movement. He probably did it 4,000 times that day he was playing. And I mean, still, so on his way to the best of the best. And so if we're making a change, there's nothing wrong with repetition. Repetition like crazy. I've done this probably a couple thousand times. Like in my sleep, eyes closed, eyes open, heavy club, light club, orange whip, no whip, cool whip. I mean, all day until it's starting to stick. After a couple thousand times, it's starting to stick. I'm not coming out of my posture like I was before. I'm hitting the ball a little farther without swinging as hard. Hitting in the center of the face more often. It's starting to make some sense. And my journey is a journey to scratch. Hopefully, getting there, getting close. Some courses kind of beat me up. Some of them I can get, but so that was kind of the weight loss and golf transition thing. But it's the patterns and habits are tough to break because it's consistent, it's easy, it's safe. You know it's going to be there. There's a little bit of kind of that reward, that little risk reward. Sometimes it's just logging the hours, logging the time.
Is there something you recognize from when you were heavier to the lighter stages that was different in your golf swing because of the shape of your body, because of your flexibility? That
Definitely.
I mean, I'm sure there were a million things, but like the one thing that now I can do this and that's really made a difference in my
Torso rotation, and we'll get into that one actually coming up. But for me, I wasn't, because of that extra weight, I was like this. My posture was bad. And so the spine is let me do some. That's a good question. Every day after art class, I would go home and cry. You guys are not allowed to make fun of the way I draw. Anybody? Let me help you out. Okay, all right.
Arms,
Shoulders.
Shoulders, got me. All right.
Back, shoulders, knees. Sunrise.
Hips, spine. Heart was rough, I promise. Spine is, these guys are in caps, right? Hips and shoulders are in caps on your spine. Rotation happens across the body, all those obliques, internal, external obliques. Abdominals help a little bit, rectus abdominis not as much, with the ones underneath. Lower back, hip flexors, glutes, hamstrings, a little bit of the top of the quad. All those things help rotate your hips and or rotate your shoulders. If that spacing is not neutral, let's just call it neutral, so that if I'm like this, it's not going to rotate so well. You'll see some really athletic golfers kind of look like that. As soon as they take it back, they get into that. But their setup might look like that. If it looks like this, it will not rotate as well either. Because now I've closed the front of it, and tipped it forward. This way I've closed the back of it and tipped it backwards. And so for me, this piece of it, it was very hard for me to rotate. 90-degree shoulder turn wasn't happening. Club never, we have video upon video every time I'm like, dang it. The club never got above my right shoulder. Now it's like back here, because this turns 1,000 times better. And we'll talk a little bit about how to get that. So we're gonna test that too. But these guys, so kind of going back into a little bit of the shoulder stuff. If the spine doesn't turn, let me erase some of those other circles. If the spine doesn't turn, one of these other circles, and this is a knee, is going to have to do the rotation for us, which may or may not be a good thing. If we're like this, and this shoulder is now having to do more rotation, might not rotate. And that means we're slamming into that joint, and it's in range of motion, and it's most vulnerable. Internal rotation is the most vulnerable for both joints, shoulder and hip. Wham, slamming into every time, bang. Eventually that thing's gonna say, no thanks, I'm out. So this rotation is important, and being able to separate the hips from the shoulders. They talk about the X factor stretching. Dave, let me borrow you again. Give me a, how you feeling? Good? Loose?
Right now, yes.
All right, here we go. Just to the top, slow-mo. Don't kill me. And freeze. All right. Here's belt buckle. It's pointing about here. Your shoulders. Pointing about here. That's called separation, right? His hips have turned about 45, his shoulders have turned about 90. His first move down, a better player will turn your hips first, hips go, before anything else goes. That's the X factor, right? That means I've taken muscles that were already kind of on tension and really put them on tension. I just took my rubber band and went from pulling it like this to pulling it like this. So that when I let it go, that elastic energy, go ahead, that elastic energy now transfers up his body, around the corner, hanging on, mashed potatoes, right? So that separation, that rotation has to happen. Give me a hunched over posture, please, sir. Give me a backswing. Stay hunched. Yeehaw. It's not going. Like he's not exaggerating that. I'm kind of strong. If I were to pull, he's not turning any more than that. Set up again, good posture. Take it back. If I wanted to be a good friend, I could help him get more turn here. I could say, you know what, Dave, we can hit this ball 35 yards further. I can just get your,
We
right?
didn't hear that.
But he can turn more. Cool? So that's what our And that's all set up off of that very first move, of being able to get your abs on a little bit and to find your posture, and then turn from there. So we want to turn around a good neutral spot. So speaking of that, let's go. I think I heard the magic word compensate. If something's missing, something's tight, and these guys are geniuses. PGA pros are geniuses because we all have different bodies, right? Even though we're working towards flexibility or working towards balance or working towards strength, we still got tee time, still got play. So you've got to be able to get around those things. In the meanwhile, still working on the best move possible, right? That creating as much lag as I can, getting my left side, trying to hit that ball through the back of theirs. But I got some limitations physically. So we kind of have to, these guys are, like I said, they're amazing for being able to work around that and to see a golf swing for all of us that kind of fits. Whether it's Jim Furyk or Justin Leonard, like whoever it is. Tiger. I mean, Lexi Thompson, anybody who's leaving the ground, Bubba, that's your own style. The efficiency is like I said, we're trying to make the engine a little bigger. So this is our body. Don't make it fun. Watch it. I gotta take an art class if I'm gonna keep doing this. Alright.
Very broad shoulders.
That's Arnold Golfer. Alright.
Small head.
Yeah. Alright, so here's what we got. Is our magic long, he's got, what do you think, Dave? About 3 inches short on the clubs and then maybe a degree upright?
Absolutely, because he's got to come up.
Yeah. Alright, so the body is magic. It's an amazing design. We're alternating segments of stability and mobility. This is one of the coolest things that we found. It's from Greg Cook. He's a FMS guy, functional movement screening guy. He helped write a lot of the Titleist Performance Institute programming that says that we're alternating segments of mobility and stability. I'm going to circle them and draw them in a second. We need to take care of them. Meaning that the stable ones should be really good at being stable, the mobile ones should be really good at being mobile. From the foot all the way up to our cervical spine. Head just kind of should stay where it needs to stay. Alright, so from the foot should be stable, so all the red ones are going to be stable. Knee should be stable. Those big bones in the lower back, the lumbar should be stable. And let's see, shoulder blade is stable. Elbow, stable. So if we think about the joints and or collection of joints that we're speaking about that are stable, they're usually just hinge joints. They don't want to rotate, they don't want to do anything else but open and close. And stay opening, elbow, knee doesn't want to rotate, that's not its job. It'll give you a few degrees of rotation, that's not what it's designed to do. So now we've got mobile joints in between them, or else we wouldn't be able to move very well. Ankle, mobile, hip, mobile. Thoracic spine, right in between the shoulder blades, mobile. Shoulder, right outside of the scapula, right outside of the shoulder joint, mobile. Wrist, mobile. And if you were to go all the way to hand should kind of be stable, sometimes mobile sometimes. But so if we alternate those segments, everything's good, everything's happy. If we don't, if somebody says, hey, for example, this hip is tight, I've got two stable segments together, that either means I don't move that segment, or something else is going to rotate. Something else is going to turn, something else is going to extend. And it's a toss-up. It depends on which one is stronger for you. All of our bodies are a little different. If you're a strong leg, happy, stable knee person, it might be a lower back thing. If your back is strong, you got a lot of core work in, but your hips are still tight, It might be anything. It could be an ACL, MCL, LCL, meniscus. It could be any of that stuff. And it says, I'm out. You're making me do too much. Same thing up here. If this scapula is in a funky position, i.e. the rotation that we couldn't get when Dave was like this, my back just has to work overtime. And I'm stressing out my shoulder, trying to make it do something that's not really in the best position to do. So that's our, it could be a rotator issue, it could be just shoulder impingement, it could be a slap tear, acromial kind of goofiness could be going on. You see that a lot with overhead pulling stuff. Or this T-spine could be mad. And this guy usually gets mad at the fact that it's just off. Those muscles aren't doing anything to help it. So we end up with a lot of flexion up there when we should have some extension and some rotation. The turn, setting this up perfectly, the turn in your golf swing should come from here, the middle of your back. If you notice, again, Dave's hips turn 45-ish, shoulders turn 90. Where'd that come from? Right there. That hip turn is a function of what my legs are doing. A little bit of hip flexibility. I've got to be able to internally rotate into this right hip on the way back, internally rotate under this left hip on the way down. There's a little bit of external rotation on the opposite side, but not as much. This is a huge deal, this being able to turn my shoulders independent of my hips. Everybody up. All right, so let's go back to that 5 and/or 6 iron, and then hands across the chest. So make sure, let's go through our stuff here. So we got good feet in the golf stance. You don't have to put your toes straight ahead. Actually, it's probably sometimes better if you put the foot out a little bit. That's a style thing, though. I'll leave that up to the boss. But for the sake of the drill, you can let your toes turn out just a touch. So what I want you to do here is we're getting into that good golf position, good posture. All right, from there, this one's fun. I want you to do it, kind of focus on your move for a second, then we'll check out our neighbors. From there, without moving your hips, moving your knees, moving your feet, I want you to turn your shoulders, just your shoulders. And just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Good, keep going, keep going. I'm going to come around and help you, so keep going. So as I'm here, try to help me keep that. Yeah. Your knees. Come. Good, keep going. So really try to keep this tight. Go a little slower first. And just get to where as soon as you feel that move, when you feel that happen, that's it. That's it. And then back. Good.
You're not supposed to feel it back.
You should feel it, if anywhere, you should feel it right between here. Stand up just a little taller from here. So I want you to give me a little bit of that. Yeah. All right, so now I'm going to lock this down. Just turn your right shoulder back. Good, and then turn your left shoulder. Okay, cool. So here's what we got to do. Let me give you a little help. You're going to put your head just barely touching the wall. And then the head just barely touching.
That'll be the newsletter. On the website. On the website. Board member goes crazy.
Right to the middle of your back.
I'm telling you, Robert.
Alright, ready? We're staying still here. Turn your shoulder. Good. So stop right there. We just want just the shoulders. Come on back a little bit more with the hips. Because remember, the hips are going to go 45, so we don't need them to go now. We just need that's what I need right there. So stay nice and tight here, where my hands are, and turn back to the left, all the way around. Good. Keep going. really, like where I'm really locking your hips down, try to do that. Kind of push your knees out a little bit, squeeze your butt. There you go, now just turn the shoulder. Good. So the mission is not necessarily the biggest turn ever. The mission is just the separation of the move. So if I lock it down, Dave, can you turn that golf club? Sure. So if I lock it down, I don't know if that's going to go in there. All right. So if I lock my hips down, what I want to be able to do is turn my shoulders independent. Nothing down here. Because eventually, when I get to that beautiful position at the top, like Dave was, my first move is going to be a hip, little Elvis move, and my upper body stays. So I've got this separation, that X factor stretching, that's going to allow me to accelerate the club a little bit more with less effort. That's the magic. So let's keep going, because this is second to this guy moving the hips this way. This is the second piece. We've got rotation, and we've got some flexion and extension in the spine.
That means you can do it still.
But if you are deciding to be, this will help you, because it will, like, sounds crazy. I have 4 clients right now that are not golf clients. I will have them beating people in 6 months. Because we did the body stuff first. So now when I send them to a lesson, they're neutral. He goes, make a shoulder turn. They go, he goes, sweet, here, hit it. What? I don't hit it. And then it's just a couple of times of logging the right hands and stuff.
Yeah, they don't have that habit.
Yeah. And so that we get that body back to neutral, kind of hit the reset button. Even, like I said, even while you're still playing, you're still practicing, you're still learning, if we can hit that reset button, it makes it easier. Take some of the stress off, take some of the strain off. You might get a little bit more a few more yards. You might get, your set close. You might hit it a little bit farther. I mean, those are all things that kind of come out of being able to, and less effort. You come out, you go ahead and bucket balls, you don't feel like you were running a marathon.
Chris, isn't what you're doing here, when I'm loading up that right leg?
For this purpose, I would say no. You have to push. You kind of have to brace the right leg.
Yeah.
But come on back again. So pretend there's like a beach ball, or maybe even a
Morning,
basketball
Colin.
here. So you're here,
Yeah.
and now just turn just to the right. So come back to the middle ball. Just stay here. Just turn the shoulder. Bridge. That's all I need. And then same thing coming back that side. Now turn to the left. Same thing. Good. Turn to the right and turn to the left. Good. So try to keep that. You're trying to keep your feet as still as possible. The other thing that comes out of this is we start to notice some asymmetries. Golfers are all crooked. If you see, like some of I have a couple of chiropractic clients. Where like my golfers all walk in like this. Partly set up, right? First K. Partly set up, but also the fact that these muscles are very strong. These guys are not. So when we're working these drills, we gotta work them 50-50. We gotta work both sides. So the backswing side, yeah, needs to be strong. The downswing and the backswing are different because of the way the hips go. This is to load or store power. This is to release power. So as I'm loading and storing, yeah, that turn's gonna be better. When I do my torso rotation stuff, this number is bigger than this number. So I don't turn that way against the brace side. I turn that way against the free side. So I'm not turning as far. Well, what if we can turn farther? Again, watching follow through. Some of the guys do it. A lot of the girls do it. When they follow through, their right shoulder is facing the target. That club is like that. Yeah, it's not happening for me. I lift weights a little bit too much to do that. They've got the club pointing back down the target line again because they're able to rotate into. Once this guy is free, it stops. They're able to rotate into that left side. So we want to go both directions. Feet stable, knees stable, rotate there. All right. So round 2, the bottom half of that is up top. Upper body does not move. hips turn. This is the Elvis move. Hips are staying, they're staying put though. This is the tricky part. Fellas, this is where we have a hard time. Ladies have an advantage with this. Guys will tend to do this, right? What we want to do is that. Sure. That's tougher than the up top.
Like wiggling the ear, you can do it or you can't.
Sit back just a little bit, like you're maybe sitting on the edge of a bar stool. Kind of butt back a little bit more here. And then try to go just from the hips. Just from the hips, so the shoulders stay. And this is another good one to practice against the wall. Where if you can get your head, because again, your spine, if your spine is wiggling, your head's going to tell you.
So Chris, would this be like an exercise we should do on a daily basis or before we warm up?
You could do it before you warm up. You can do it as a part of your warm up. You could do these when you hop out of bed because it's gonna. One of the best exercises for lower back pain.
I'd like to see you hop out of bed. That would be fun.
One of the best exercises for lower back pain is this move right here. Because we're getting flexion and extension. I would say it's like taking your spine from the end caps and just shaking it out. So we get rid of some of the tension, get rid of some of the space junk, and we're just kind of getting this to move. Because again, if it's mobile when I'm swinging, that's not a problem. If it's tight and it's going in one direction, like just doing that is not, my back's like, dude, it's not doing that. That hurts. So we want to get to that place where we want to be able to move. And then talking about the girls and guys versus kind of mobility, stability on the LPGA versus PGA. Typically with women and juniors, we're dealing with a stability thing. We're trying to get some strength in there so that stuff's not moving around too much. For guys, and especially seniors, we're dealing with a flexibility thing. Because we're trying to get some movement in there and stuff's not moving around enough. And so those are our two magic pieces. Let's try that one more time, because that's a big one. And this is the hardest one. Kind of say the best for last, kind of let you get a little bit warmed up. Really try to keep this upper body still and rotate just your hips. Your knees kind of wiggle a little bit. I'm doing maybe over here. So yeah, it's tough. It's really tough. Like it took me a while because I was doing, what was I doing? I was doing this thing. I was doing the little leg too much. But I really got to use, I mean, it's here. It's a core, you're using your core to rotate your hips. Yeah. And you might find one side easier than the other side.
You're gonna be worn out from this.
You'd be good in Vegas, Jim.
And that's actually, I was listening to an interview, a golf interview with one of the guys from Dance with the Stars. Tony, I can't remember his last name. Big golf nut. He plays the scratch. And he was talking about it's not